Well, I decided I'd do a little Bassman maintenance today, Tweed Bassman. As you can see, this is my box of power tubes, which pretty much most of them are somewhat useless and extra. I'm running very low on the 5881s. I've used these on and off several times. I need a good new pair because I actually think I finally wore these things out. I don't know, it just seemed like the amp was kind of dull. This one on my amp tester was about 475. Acceptable is 300, but all the other ones I have are 525, 575, and a new one's probably more like 600 micro mows, as they call them. But this is my 752 Hickok tube tester, which is pretty nice to have if you're going to maintain your tubes. This one's warming up right now. This was the other tube that was in the basement. So I'm going to try to bump up the amp output a little bit, make it sound better. And here are my gold leaky Astrons, which I'm tempted to put back in, at least one of them, the least leaky, because the one video that I have that's got the most hits of all my videos, the Bassman, had these leaky ones in it, and it sounded great. So I may go ahead and take the Jupiters out and put those back in, or at least one, just to see what I think. Okay, I graded the 5 best tubes, Tung-Sols, USA made 5881s that I had. Color codes don't mean anything, I just picked them at random, but I wrote the numbers on there. Look, these two have EL, stands for Excellent Life. And I'm going to try, what I have to do now is put them in the amp and check to see which pair is the closest matched, and I'll show you how I do that in a second with my dual probe here. Let's see if I got it hooked up. No, I don't have it hooked up yet. Here's my my dual bias probe, and I'll show you how that works. But hopefully I can find two good tubes. I did find that I think one of them was just, I'd worn it out. It was low reading, fairly low life, lower than any of my other tubes. So I'm hoping I get a little bit better, powerful tone. I've just played this amp so much that I basically wore the tubes out finally. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I hooked the bias probe up to my I have the dual bias probe, which is great because you can go back and forth with this switch here from one tube to the other just by flipping the switch back and forth. Now, all you do with this is you put these in the sockets, then you take your tubes and you stick them in here. Take those stickers off. I'm going to try the two that I hope match up. If they don't match, then I'm going to have to start playing around with the tubes. But alright, I need to plug it in. And turn the amp on. Let it warm up, and we'll see what we get here. I'm hoping. I'll turn this light off for a second, make sure they're both lit. I mean, one of them wasn't making a good contact in my tester. You can almost tell by the glow if they're going to match. The left one right now is glowing a little brighter, so we'll see. Those have the most life left. I mean, some of these are made in 1958. I think one date code's 1958, the other one's 63. So the tubes are getting kind of old. But they sound so good, and I'm hoping since I didn't have a matched pair, one of them had worn out, that the amp is going to come back strong and I won't have to change my capacitors and put my leaky Astrons in. Alright, we'll let it warm up and I'll be right back. A slight delay. This kind of sucks. I pulled out my multimeter and the batteries had leaked, and I barely got the thing back working. I mean, there was battery acid everywhere, and it hadn't been that long since I used it. So I got some new batteries in there. As you can see, the tube on the right is running at 37 milliamps, which is perfect. They call it, it shows millivolts actually, 37 to 40, but the other tube is only at 24 or 25, so that's not even closely matched, which stinks. So those were my two best tubes. You want to get them within 5%, so I'll be back. Alright, we're getting a little closer. 26 and 30. It's not close enough for me, but the good thing is you can play the amp while you're doing this. Just so I'll check, I mean, I usually set this up to about 37 to 40. I saw where Fender does 40 millivolts, and so I'm gonna adjust it with my bias adjustment, which is that little blue thing right there, and see if it gets any closer between the two. Be right back. Alright, I put one up to 37, but the other one only went to 32. Well, I mean, it seems to sound better. I think that one tube was messing me up. So I'm going to keep messing with tubes till I get something closer. Alright, well, right now the closest I've gotten is about 7.5–8%. 38 and 36, something like that. I'm going to try one more combination of my two hottest tubes and see if I get a little closer. Okay, I mean, after a while it gets kind of confusing on what's going on with each tube. So as you can see, I wrote down the readings on every tube, numbered each tube, kept the first one in the whole time, tried the other 4 tubes. And so my last combination was number 2, which was 40, and number 4, which was 42.7 or 9. And at first it looked like it was way off, and I don't know what kind of phenomenon this is, and like I said, I'm not an electronics engineer, but apparently they drifted to where they're almost exact. 42.9, 43, 43. I mean, it's like a perfect match. Now I need to reduce the, I'm going to turn this thing here and shut it, reduce the bias a little bit. I don't know, I had it at 37. I read where, so you can see it going down, where Fender sends them out at 40. Now I may just keep it at 40. Let's see if it's still close. I might just keep them at 40 for now. See what happens. That's pretty darn close. I got lucky. Probably the last good combination of tubes I'll have. But that's kind of what you got to do to keep these things sounding their best. And hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight on amp maintenance. Talk to you later.